evening, I'm Liz Bishop.
And I'm Dory Marlin. Well, 2 trials and several years of legal debate later, former State Senate Majority Leader Joe Bruno is officially a free man tonight.
Yeah, the jury handed down a not guilty verdict just after noon in U.S. District Court in Albany. The trial lasted 2 weeks, but it only took the jury just a few hours, really, of deliberations to reach their decision.
Matt Markham was the first reporter to bring you that verdict live at noon today. He's been following Bruno's second trial from the start, and he's joining us live outside the courthouse in downtown Albany tonight. Matt?
Liz and Dory, good evening. I think one of the most striking things that you could visually see during this day was when the senator was walking over to lunch after that not guilty verdict came down, and a guy driving a CDTA bus went by and waved his hand out the window. Joe Bruno waved back and then had to stop and actually wipe tears out of his eyes. A great element of relief that all of this has come to a conclusion.
I cannot describe to anybody what it feels like to have the government, the federal government, day and night on your mind, that their mission is to put you in prison.
It is finally over for the man many in the Capital Region called Uncle Joe. After only about 5 hours of deliberations, a jury could not connect consulting payments and the sale of a horse to a return of legislative favors from the former Senate Majority Leader to an area businessman. It was nearly a decade since Senator Bruno was first accused and later tried once and convicted, and then a Supreme Court ruling nullified the grounds of that conviction, and Bruno was back before the court.
This system, it works. Sometimes it's slow, but it works.
Federal prosecutors stood by the charges returned by 2 grand juries while admitting they had hoped for a different verdict.
Justice was served, and we accept the jury's verdict.
With that, the case is closed. The lawyers will look at lessons to be learned from this trial.
We seek justice, and we have no personal animus toward Mr. Bruno. We understand his popularity, but we don't rely on subjective factors to determine who is going to be prosecuted. We look at the facts of the case.
Defense attorney Easterwood Jones said there were no facts presented by the government. Legislators may maintain other legitimate work.
Why shouldn't Senator Bruno, as a business expert, employ his business skills with another businessman in developing whatever relationship they thought was appropriate?
The senator, now 85 years old, also thanked the jury and the Lord, saying it's time to pick up and move forward.
If I could show you the letters, the text messages, the calls from people I don't even know, you hear them on the street as I go up the street. And you know what? That makes me feel good about the 42 years that I was in elective office. That makes me feel great about all of the good things that we did here for not just upstate, but this whole state.
Our legal analyst, Paul Darnesian, has been here guiding us through these last 2 weeks of the trial. He was also here for the original trial back in 2009. Paul, what, in your opinion, is different about this trial versus the last one, and any impact that might have made?
Well, the most important difference is the legal difference, which is the first trial involved concealing a conflict of interest. This trial involved a bribery. That is a much more difficult prosecution argument to make. So I think that's probably the biggest difference. The second difference is it went more quickly, more streamlined, and I think that's why we saw a quicker verdict and quicker deliberations.
When you look at everything that's gone by here, and of course the attention that in a way has been put on the legislature here too, one way or another, does the outcome of this trial send any message to anything that may be happening up the hill?
I think it's wrong to look at these trials, even major criminal trials, as sending any particular message or having a global impact. I think what you'll find is most cases are handled on their individual merits. I think investigators and the FBI will continue to do what they do, prosecutors will do what they continue to do, and legislators will continue to do what they do. It'll be the political pressure more than the legal pressure that makes any changes or affects changes in the legislature.
And one more question, if I may. Oftentimes you cover cases, and sometimes the losing party does not say anything about the case. What do you take away from the prosecution, the government's reaction, and their press conference in this?
Well, I do think it's important for parties and lawyers to speak out in cases. I was pleased to see that the U.S. Attorney did come out and speak very professionally about this case. and explain their position. And I think that's part of what went well in this case. Everybody did their job and did it well.
Judge Sharp even said that before jury deliberations.
And that's correct. The judge noted that, and the case was well tried, and that includes in the courtroom, and I think that's something we can all feel good about.
Okay, well, we certainly appreciate all your help along this process, Paul.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
very much, and we've got a lot more to talk about. We'll do that at 6 o'clock. For now, we're at federal court in Albany. Matt Markham, CBS 6 News.